Good morning. This is Chair French, and I'm convening the regularly scheduled business meeting of the Kansas Corporation Commission for this Thursday, October 21st, 2021. On today's agenda, we have 7 consent agenda items and 3 noticed items. Excuse me, joined by my colleagues, Commissioner Keene and Commissioner Duffy, and we will begin with our consent agenda items. Commissioners, you've had the opportunity to review the 7 proposed items on the consent agenda. Let me ask at this time whether you have any questions on those items, beginning with Commissioner Keene.
Good morning, Chair French. Thank you, but I have none.
Thank you. Commissioner Duffy.
Good morning, Chair French. I have no questions or comments, and I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the items on the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. The consent agenda is approved. We will now move to our noticed items. We have 3 noticed items. Let me ask first, Brian, do you intend to take these individually, or are you going to take them as one presentation?
I'm going to take them individually, but the third one will be very brief because it's a recap of the second one.
Okay,
So,
very good. Well, then I will introduce them individually. Our first noticed item is in docket number 22 KGSG 053 COM. And this is a proposed order on prima facie determination. Our presenter is Mr. Brian Fedottin. Good morning, Brian.
good morning, Commissioners. On March 9th, the Commission initiated the 21 KGSG 332 GIG docket, which is an investigation into Kansas Gas Services regarding the February 2021 winter weather event. On July 1st, the diocese was granted intervention in that docket. On July 28th, the diocese filed an additional formal complaint against KGS, claiming that in February it was charged excessive high prices for natural gas. The formal complaint does not comply with the requirements of, this order finds the formal complaint does not comply with the requirements of KAR 82-1-220B, and therefore fails to establish a prima facie case for commission action. Pursuant to KAR 82-1-220C, the diocese should be given an opportunity to amend the formal complaint, and thus is given 30 days to correct any procedural deficiencies. This order notes that the diocese asks the commission to exercise its investigative powers under KSA 66-1205 to ascertain the truth and validity of the complaint related to KGS's rates, practices, and actions. That statute authorizes the commission to make such investigation as it deems necessary. Since the commission has already opened an investigation into KGS's actions, and the diocese is already an intervener in that investigation, the commission does not deem any additional investigation necessary. With that, I'm available for questions on that order.
Mr. Fedottin. May I ask if there are any questions for Brian? I will begin with Commissioner Keene.
Thank you. Just a brief overview. I'll just restate this in my own words if I could. Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I'm correct. Basically, this is a matter here in this order of permitting the diocese to remedy, as I see it, some procedural prerequisites necessary for a formal complaint to be filed under the regs. Is that the essence of what this order is about?
It is, and it also points out that just in the interest of administrative efficiency, we already have a pretty comprehensive investigation going on of the same conduct, and the diocese has intervened and is participating in that docket and is represented by the same counsel in the investigation that seeks to represent them in the complaint. So it's just unnecessary. Yes, both.
Pardon my interruption. Go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to say it is unnecessarily duplicative in addition to not satisfying the procedural requirements.
Okay, so under the time parameter then that's being allowed to have the diocese go ahead and basically remedy these procedural prerequisites is essentially what?
It's 30 days from the date of this order, which is in our regulations. It's not something that we arbitrarily picked. It's exact out of the regs.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Sure.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions or comments for Mr. Fedotin?
I subscribe to Commissioner Keen's comments and questions. And with that, I do move the approval of this order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the described order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? I might just go ahead and add, I do think absent amendment of the complaint, I think this is the right result. As I review the complaint, speaking for myself, I think it's pretty clear that the complaint is about charges in a private contract between the complainant and their gas marketer. It's not about actual conduct of a regulated utility. And so I think it's the right result. As I said, absent amendment, it's the right result for the complaint to be dismissed. But I do think I'm glad to see the diocese is involved in the ongoing investigation. And I think to the extent they have concerns about how they might be impacted by that investigation, they will have every opportunity to bring those forward to us in that docket. I think also these complaints, as will be highlighted in all three of them, to me, they are starting to show the difficulties that we have with different types of customers in these different dockets. We have one subset of customers, which are the customers of our regulated utilities, and we control almost every aspect of the relationship between those utilities and their customers and the amounts that they're charged. We have another set of customers, which are customers that elected to leave the local utility and to go purchase their natural gas on the unregulated market through gas marketers, through private contracts that we have virtually no jurisdiction over. And I think it will be, it's going to display the difficulty in treating those customers exactly the same. Our statutes are not set up to afford us that opportunity. I know I've made that point publicly early on that we would be able to provide protections to our regulated customers, and it may be difficult to provide those exact same protections to customers that made their purchases of gas through private contracts. Now, that's not to be said that we shouldn't try. These are all important stakeholders in the Kansas community. And it is my view, moving forward, that we should try our best to protect Kansas customers as much as we can. And even if we can't afford all of the exact same protections or treat everyone, quote unquote, equally, we should still treat everyone equitably. And that's the spirit in which I intend to proceed through these investigations. And with that is my only comment, but I do think the result in this particular order is correct. So thank you, Mr. Fedotin. If there is no further discussion to come on this order or this motion, those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved. Mr. Fedotin, we will now move to docket number 22 KGSG 018 COM. And this is a proposed order on prima facie determination and granting intervention in the 21 KGSG 332 GIG docket. And again, you are our presenter, Mr. Fedotin.
Yes, thank you. On July 12th, the Central Christian Church of Wichita, Kansas, filed a complaint against KGS, alleging unreasonable, unfair, unjust, inefficient, and insufficient, unjustly discriminatory, unduly preferential conduct. This formal complaint also does not comply with the requirements of KAR 82-1-220B and fails to establish a prima facie case for commission action. As the order we just discussed, also pursuant to the regs, the church will be given an opportunity, 30 days, to amend the any procedural deficiencies identified. Unlike the previous order, Central Christian Church has not intervened in the general investigation. And so what this order does is it believes that Central Christian Church should be allowed to intervene in the 21-332 docket. But it does condition that intervention on combining its activities with the diocese, and they're both represented by the same attorney and raise similar concerns. So, which is why, in the interest of judicial efficiency or administrative efficiency, they would be consolidated in that docket. With that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Keen, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Duffy,
No questions, thank you.
we have a motion to approve the order.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And I make a motion to adopt and approve the order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the described order in this docket. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. We now move to our last noticed item. This is in docket number 22 KGSG 052 CAM. And this is another proposed order on prima facie determination and granting intervention in the 21 KGSG 332 GIG docket. And again, our presenter is Mr. Fedot.
Thank you, Commissioners. The reasoning and findings in this last order are substantially the same as the second one that I just mentioned. It finds no prima facie case and gives, under the statute, gives Foley 30 days to amend its complaint. It also grants Foley intervention in the general investigation, but conditioned on combining its activities with both the diocese and Central Christian Church. And again, they're all represented by the same council, so that should not be too difficult for them to consolidate, and should not prejudice them in any way. With that, I'm available for questions.
Any questions, Commissioner Keen?
No questions.
Commissioner Duffy?
No questions, and I move approval of the order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the described order in this docket. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, those in favor of approving the order, please vote aye.
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 Aye. The order is approved. We have now reached the conclusion of the noticed items on today's business agenda. If there's no, well, I see Commissioner Duffy has her hand raised with further business.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chair, I'd like to just point out that October, I believe 24th is the date that the 10-digit dialing does go into effect. And I know for so many of us who have a cell phone that perhaps we did not put in the area code. And it would be wise to just make sure that that 785 or 620-316, whatever, it only affects 2 area codes, but always make sure you have the area code in your phone contacts. But that does go into effect. Yes, it is a disruption for us, but I believe it's for a very good cause. So by July of next year, the new phone number for the suicide hotline will go from a 1-800 number to a 3-digit number. And I do believe that for those who are in desperate circumstances, this actually might be a lifesaver for them. And I know during the pandemic, numbers have increased. And I believe nationwide, we should give every ability for somebody who is going through a crisis to be able to reach out as easily as they can. And this is just a reminder. I know we sent out a press release and there's been some news stories, but it is our responsibility to help convey this change that occurred at the national level, but affected 2 of our area codes.
Thank you for that really important reminder and announcement on 10-digit dialing. And anybody that didn't catch all that or isn't aware of it, please go to our website and you'll be able to find our information and press releases on that. So thank you, Commissioner Duffy. With that, if there is no further business to come before us this morning, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
A motion and a second to adjourn. Those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye, we are adjourned. Take care.
Thank you, Brian.